Could you explain to us the psychological impact of infertility for both men and women?
Sure. So, see, one is just a short thing on the impact. Grief is not seen.
Yes.
A woman's grief is in the form of she's trying to conceive, and then she hopes for a conception one day. It's not this month or next, but when they are eventually getting there, and we know that this grief falls into that cyclic menstrual phase where every month there is a hope.
Yeah.
I just cleared my menses, and now there is a hope, maybe this month or next month. And, in our interviews with people, a lot of them develop, fear of having a cycle this month, or extreme pre and perimenstrual worsening of mood symptoms. Just because when they get those cramps, they start anticipating, oh shucks, probably I would end up having a cycle this month also, or I just had it. I did everything on earth possible, and I had another cycle. So that grief, the physical difficulties, the emotional longing, in which 10-15 days of every month is a hope, and then the later period, the week later, is despair and worry and anxiety. What will happen this month? So that is one huge aspect. The void, what we just discussed about. So there's a void, and then there are ways in women are trying to fill that void. Women are mostly centric towards discussing their issues with others, the ones particularly in our society, seeking more social support, seeking appropriate ways of emotional calming, emotional venting, scheduling their lives around that. When you talk about men, on the other hand, it's more of esteem related issue. It's more of my masculinity related issue. So what would be taken for a person like me who is successful in XYZ platform, or who is fairly doing well and has a good amount of plan, but is lacking in one aspect of life. So it's mostly centered around, do they really see me as strong enough? Or will I be as attractive? Am I good enough? That thing hits them very badly. But then the way men process it is they would not be as vocal. A lot of emotional issues would be happening. They are more centered around avoidance. When they tend to cope, it is more centered around problem-focused coping, getting more information to solve the medical problem, which is there this month. That may be some dropping semen counts. You take XYZ pills and eventually you will get there. So it's more of a problem-focused coping. It's less of, no, I am not suffering, or okay, it may be there, but we can't do anything around it, so let's just cut it off. It's more problem-focused coping. If we can't do anything, then you just avoid it, or you just ignore it. Men are focused around that, mostly it's like that. Women are more emotional focused in terms of they want more of talking, discussing, comforting, validation. And that's when, when these couples come for therapy, it's important that both of them learn to exchange their ways of handling it.
So true.
Yeah. When that gets counterbalanced, the man becomes a little emotionally centric, the woman becomes a little problem centric. Instead of counterbalances their worry.
So a lot of problem could be that they're both facing the same emotions, but the way they project it, the way they work around it is different. The application is different. And so they're not, one is thinking that the other person doesn't care. One is also thinking the other person doesn't care. On top of that, the social pressure, family pressure, all coming into play. When a couple comes to you like this, what is your advice? What do you tell them?
I would say the first thing is to just go through the review. Where are you positioned right now? What is happening with, what is the problem? That's very important to know. So like a lot of them might not want to go for any medical evaluation despite a lot of time.
Yes.
So seeing what is the issue there, is it just something which can be correctable? Finding the right set of doctors to take them through that, because you see, you need to understand the treatment for fertility related issues is done by a doctor who is primarily a surgeon. He's very busy. He might not have the emotional capacity to comfort you as much. He might not have the time to sit with you for hours and answer those repetitive questions. He might not have the, you see, the emotional reserves to comfort you as well.
Yeah.
But he's an expert in his own field.
Yeah.
So the medical parts, what is the problem? If it is correctable, matching this person to the right set of people so that we just correct it and we see what are the options now. So I would say the management is about the different treatment choices and what the couple is really comfortable in. You want to try on your own, wait and watch, do X, Y, Z. Do you want to come back after 3 months? Do you want to straight away go in for what you're comfortable with? And ultimately, it is their life.
Yeah, that's true.
Literature shows that after 10 years of trying to conceive, the conception rate with treatment is just the same as with waiting period. So 1 year of 10 IVFs or after 10 years, 4 IVFs.
It's the same.
Considering a number of, would be the same. Considering a number of factors. What technology does is it reduces the waiting period. It controls a lot of factors which might be going haywire or which helping Mother Nature. That is the easiest way to put it across. Also, in some very rigid conditions, the women might not be just willing to go ahead. Like for example, endometriosis is a very painful physical condition. Already she's undergone a lot of surgeries, and now even simple things like coital activity is very painful for them. So both ways it is painful. So then it is the best match of what we can do medically for them, which is primarily the team of gynecologists, urologists, the medical team practitioners, the dietitians, the physiotherapists, and then the reducing the emotional overload. So reducing the overload of emotional burden on them, and then reviving the normal couple aspects, the intimacy, their emotional well-being, their bonding behaviors, their attachment behaviors. That's how we can, in short, center it around.
So in a way, you're playing a parent to them by comforting them, by making sense of the emotions that they're going through, where it's lacking. Right. Has it ever occurred to you in your practice that the male partner is more resistant to coming to you for help?
Yes. I'll share you a very, live experience. So I was in this doctoral project, which was done at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, with the MARC, the Manipal Assisted Reproduction Unit. So we were running a randomized controlled trial on efficacy of mindfulness intervention in couples undergoing fertility treatments. Now, it was not very difficult for me to get the women for treatment. We wanted couples, so the condition was that both of them should be around for completion of the treatment. But I had a huge toil getting the men.
Yes.
Getting them involved in the treatments. Most of them would be willing for the sake of the wife. But those 4-5 days of intervention and then going back and continuing to do the psychological health programs, the couple-based activities, made a lot of difference.
Yes.
To them, to the wife,
yes,
the treatment support, understanding a lot of things around it, making better decisions, making tougher decisions, in fact.
Yes. And so for the husband, while the process is going on, it is his duty as the husband to protect his wife from family and society pressure also in some ways. Otherwise, it's very difficult for a woman.
Yeah, because the first by default factor is that, she would be the first person responsible for it, because it works both ways. See, as I said, you cannot blame anybody. It works both ways. Mother Nature is the reason you call it Mother Nature. And then not being able to mother invites that amount of negative stereotyping.
Have you seen an improvement in the way a male partner responds to treatment or the willingness to come for treatment? Or is it the same?
No, it depends from couple to couple. But if you give them their own time, their own space, having a male therapist in the team makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of difference. It does. It has a lot of difference, which is the reason why, like, that's what I said, in our setup, we have it is a choice of the couple. If they're coping with struggling with infertility, they want a little help. Do they want to see a female doctor? Do they have a specific preference of individual therapy for the man and the woman? The man can go to a male therapist. The women can go to a female therapist, or both of them can go to a male therapist or a female therapist, or the couple takes help with the couple. That way also it works.
At the same time, maybe they need both male and female doctors, because
Correct.
we understand, as a female, we understand what we go through. A male doesn't go through what we go through, and therefore theoretical knowledge to hoga, but perhaps that human touch might go missing. Right. So it's a lot of work that you do. Do you have any advice for people who are watching this video, for couples who are going through all this treatment?
My first advice would be that I know it's a very difficult journey. Nobody can understand it for you because of the unique challenges that it has.
Yes.
Seeking out to people who can help you around it always will lessen the toil, because if the journey is long, it should rather be comfortable.
Yes.
Then only we will reach to an end point. It doesn't matter whether you are getting there through IUI, through IVF, through surrogacy, or through natural means, or through waiting and watching. It doesn't really matter, because that is just an aspect of the whole individual.
Yeah.
Being a mother and a parent is just an aspect of an entire individual.
Yes.
But what can it do to you is huge. And that will have a bigger impact on my sense of worth and what I can do for my life. So you need to understand that when the treatment is failing, it's not really the failure of the individual. The technology worldwide has limited success rates. So the technology has not been able to live up to your demands, and there are people working towards it. It's not an individual failure.
Yeah, that's very important, because a lot of times we hold people accountable for a medical condition. Very important point, Dr. Ansha. Talking to a doctor is very intimidating for a lot of people. Is there a center, like a contact center, or a place where people can reach out to somebody online maybe, or over the phone for help?
Yes. There are centers based abroad where you see Resolve is one network. It is a network of families who are built through medically assisted reproductive treatments. It has people who are trying to conceive. It has people who are subfertile. It is a self-help group. So that is one part. It has professional help options.
What's the
Resolve.
name? Resolve.
Resolve network.
Okay.
Yeah. And similarly, what happens is that we get a lot of online queries. So these days, people are reaching out to a lot of online platforms also directly. They don't want to come for help. They would just want to speak to me for 5-10 minutes. And that amount of time and commitment should be offered to them. A lot of times they mail us. A lot of times what we have now introduced is we are connecting them through free webinars and educational events. So anybody can come up in that. They can talk, they can interact, they get the feel of what's happening, how normal is it. There might be doctors participating there. Usually we have a team of dietitians, nutritionists, doctors, psychologists, people who are struggling with it, who are talking, and that's the sense of community that they get. So platforms like these offer help when the issue of privacy and confidentiality comes up.
So
and I think online is that's something online can do, which offline help cannot do. It takes a lot of courage to come and see me, unfortunately.
It does, it does. I mean, people would be intimidated.
Yeah. But I'm so glad, you know, I'm very happy that you from your own organization have contacted. Because when I started working in this area 11 years back, I could not find anything.
Yes.
Still, if you see, there's a dearth of good quality work online. People where qualified, it's associations where qualified people are coming together. Options are offered. We didn't have a startup concept 11 years back, so it's great to build a community of blogs. And you have, in the West, you have so many of them. You have IVF Babel, that is one very famous online platform. So if you check their link, it has recently been awarded as the best online database.
IVF
Babel, IVF Babel, yeah.
Right.
You
So
have new communities which are coming up, like IVF Tribe is
okay.
another community. So it has everybody. It has people. It has collaborators. It has scientists. It has clinicians. It has everybody who has some expertise to offer in that particular area.
So it's a tribe of knowledgeable people coming together to help a society, wanting for help.
Correct.
So if somebody wants to talk to Dr. Ansha Patel, how do we find her more easily? Instead of
just go to Google and just put my name, Dr. Ansha Patel, Udaipur, and I guess you will be able to get it. If you want to read on the papers, because I don't know, I've written some stuff and people find it of use. You can go to googlescholar.com, just put Ansha Patel infertility. You will get a lot of papers, a lot of self-help information is there in the paper. And the reason for writing those papers was that we could build a scientific community, but later I realized that I'm getting mails where people are saying that that paper that you wrote on recurrent pregnancy loss, I'm reading it and this is how I feel. So these papers are freely available. We are writing for magazines also now.
Oh, very nice.
So we are writing for Tarshi. We are writing for our Reproductive Health Matters, RHM. All of these are freely available online magazines.
Okay, so people just need to type in Dr. Ansha Patel and your name, your profile, everything will come up and they will be able to access you better, easily.
Sure.
Well,
anyway.
Well, thank you so much, Doctor, for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me, and it was lovely connecting to you.
Yes, after a long time, actually.
Sure.
And from Subhak Health Tech, we wish you, your startup, and all your practices the very best. May God be with you, and may you continue to inspire people, and may we change the world one patient at a time.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. Thank you for all that love and reciprocating that back to you. Wishing you great success. I hope it builds up a long way and we have a lot of things to exchange and help each other's growth.